Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of Bible Files. We have a lovely evening for you guys. We hope that you stay here and enjoy the next hour and a half of our program. We have a lot of sponsors ready to sponsor us, including that of the Expo marker. Really good, guys, just get it. We have a few special guests tonight, three of them especially, including Christopher Fulks, Mako Suzuki, and Mario Escalana. Hello, welcome back everyone. I hope you enjoyed our intermission. We'll be getting things started off right now. But first, I'd like to give a word from our one sponsor. It is the Walking Dead franchise. I highly suggest getting this, especially for the Halloween season. And right now we're going to be presenting Mako, all the way from Japan, presenting her book, Mako on Mako, an analysis of the Book of Ruth. Hello Mako, how are you today?
I'm good.
Just before we get started, I'll just tell the audience what they want to know about the Book of Ruth. It really is just a story found in the Old Testament that tells of a mother and daughter-in-law going back to the land from whence they came, and her getting a new husband in place of the son. So, Mako, I just have a couple questions about your whole book on more of the analytical parts on it. Now, it's told from a narrative, correct?
Yes.
So this means it's told as a story, which is not found many times in the Old Testament.
Yes.
Rather.
Right.
Could you tell me what is the purpose of the story itself?
This is kind of like, like giving the readers to have like inspiration of story, and then some of the story in the Bible is really connected to the other story in the Bible, and then this story meant to be our faithfulness to Naomi that Ruth gave in the entire her life.
Can you tell me what the main four elements of it?
So there's like four main elements in the story, which is anti-romance, romance, tragedy, and comedy.
Okay. What's so comical about it?
So when Ruth remarried with Boaz, which is like her second husband, Naomi suggested Ruth to sleep with him, next to him, dressing up really nicely and having oil and everything. Because Naomi was really sure that Boaz is kind of attracted by Ruth. And I found this comedy.
So she's like nudging him and stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. I wish some people did that for me. Can you tell me a couple things about the imagery? I know there's a lot of imagery with everything itself.
Yes. So the Bethlehem, where Naomi and Ruth eventually kind of got from the Moab.
Yeah.
Was so Bethlehem means to be the house of bread.
Right.
So it's really like a wealthy place that, everyone is kind of well off for eating and so on. And Ruth means friend because her friendship with Naomi was really strong and a strong tie. Boaz is in him, three is strength. Yeah, because he is a redeemer of Naomi and Ruth. He brought a lot of goodness. Okay, well, that's pretty awesome. I just want to tell a couple of things to the audience. Maybe they might not, if they read the book, they might find a couple interesting points. You might agree with me on these. Some interesting points is that Boaz is actually a Rahab. I'm sorry if I say it wrong. He's a Canaanite she is a person who hid from the Hebrews, he hid from the Hebrew spies. And with that, it shows that there's not really discrimination against other religions that he would get with, especially Ruth's case, where she is a Gentile and a Moabite. So, I mean, it's a couple interesting points there. Another interesting point is that Boaz means near kinsman, and a term really that goes with it is Goel, and that's a term known for Jesus. So it's kind of foreshadowing to the New Testament itself as the Messiah. Now, a couple other things is that Boaz actually means in him there is strength, which is kind of ironic, or not ironic per se, but it's an interesting point because Naomi sees this strength in him and actually sees it as a potential husband for her daughter-in-law. Would you agree on that? Yes.
And do you have any other points you would like to say before we end our session real quick?
No, you analyzed it really well.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. I hope you get a nice trip back to Japan and get back to me anytime you need. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. We're going to get started with our session 2. I'd like to introduce our second special guest, Dr. Christopher Fulks. He actually has an academic journal, The True Story of Genesis 38, and he's here to talk about it with him. And I'm just going to give you the summary, which is about a woman who has to trick her father-in-law in order to get what rightfully she deserves, and that is of a child. Hello, Christopher. I'd like to thank you for coming. We're just going to get started here into the mishmash, and a lot of my audience wants to know what's so important about Genesis 38.
Well, Genesis 38 comes in between 37 and 39, obviously, which is about Joseph being sold into slavery by his brothers, and him being the Pharaoh's Pontifer, which is his officer.
Ah, that's interesting. And could you talk to us more about Judah's second son? A lot of my audience wants to know more about him and what he did wrong.
Well, his second son's name is Onan, and basically his father, Judah, told him to have a child with Er's wife, whose name is Tamar, and he refused to do so by spilling semen on the ground, and thus they didn't have a child. And this goes against the law of levirate marriage.
Oh, wow, that's a strict law right there. We're going to go into one of the themes right now, the specific theme of social justice. How do you feel like it is interpreted in this Genesis 38?
Well, basically, Tamar, she has a kind of a right to have a child, and Judah takes that away from her by not offering his child to her once he's of age. So she basically stretches out her right and goes and has a child with him.
Oh, wow. That's a sneaky person. Now, there's three things that Judah gives to Tamar in their ritual. What are those three things, and what can you specify about the one thing that's really important?
Well, the three things were his seal, staff, and cord. And his staff represents authority. And what families used to do were they would write their names on it, so it kind of shows lineage too. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's actually really important. I'm just going to go on to talk to my audience real quick and tell them that one point about that I really enjoyed, and they might enjoy it too, is that in the case of Tamar and her methods, that although they're unusual and unorthodox, she actually redeems Judah, and through the redemption of Judah, we get to see Jesus' lineage. And Christopher, again, I just wanted to thank you for coming over, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you. Hello. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed our first two segments. We're going to our last segment now. We have special guest Mario all the way from Nutley. I just want to make note that she has a movie adaptation of her book Bible Girls that comes out January 20th. I highly advise everyone to go see it, and I just wanted to congratulate you right now on your movie. And I hear that you have something to talk about your book.
Yeah. So one of the more important things that I write in my book are about the comparison between Ruth and Tamar and how they're both considered outsiders.
That's actually a really good point. Many people would like to know that and stuff, and they actually see that in the two stories. Another point I wanted to add is the idea of this levirate marriage. A lot of my audience don't really know what that is. Do you think you go into detail about it?
Yeah. So levirate marriage is basically when the husband of a wife dies and the brother of the husband has to take care of the son.
Oh, well, this is really simple. Another point, a lot of researchers tend to look this up and specify on it, is this idea of emphasis on Jesus' lineage. What do you think about that?
Okay, well, it's basically really simple. Without Ruth and Tamar, there would be no emphasis on Jesus' lineage. There would be no Jesus. Like, without them, there'd be no lineage.
Wow. Now, I'm going to just go into some differences that you make mention in your book. One is specifically the differences between Tamar and Ruth's, their story being shorter or longer. Can you explain why that may be possible?
Okay, well, basically, Tamar's is shorter because she was later on in a time period, and Ruth was earlier, so we know more about her.
Oh, okay. And then our final point that I want to talk for is the differences between Tamar and Ruth. You say that Tamar is different because Tamar is more of a herself person compared to Ruth, where it's actually supporting too. Would you like to agree with that and stuff?
Yeah, of course. Tamar was more ruthless and sly, and she took matters into her own hands. Even though Ruth does take matters to her own hands, Tamar seemed to use more like trickery, unlike Ruth, who was more loyal and devoted into helping her family.
Oh, okay, awesome. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.
Alright, let's see if I can get this working. Oh, there it is. Okay. Hey guys, thank you for watching my show. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks so much. I hope you watch the next ones. And I just wanted to give you a couple extra points. You know, some things that may have been missed on the segment that you just watched. Some of them is more with the Book of Ruth. Specifically, the story itself is meant to inspire, challenge, and encourage us. The book actually begins with famine and ends with plenty, which is kind of ironic because, you know, at the beginning of it, they're actually returning to food and the beginning of the barley season, which is foreshadowing actually hope for them and everything. A couple other points I'd like to point out is it traces back the life of the Hebrew people, so you get a good depiction of what it was like to live as a Hebrew person. A couple of the names that are actually really good to know is Orpah, which is one of the sister-in-laws. She actually means the back of the neck, which is a good point to note because in the story itself, she kind of turns her way from Naomi and shows this unloyalness and shows the back of her neck. It's a good point. Another thing I want to talk about now is Tamar and Judah. Some points not mentioned in it was that Tamar actually saw these three items to his way to identify Judah, and on top of that, they symbolized a son that would succeed Judah. Like, she is seeing that her son is going to go far. Judah finds out that Tamar is pregnant eventually and condemns her to death, inciting that she actually broke the code of Hammurabi, specifically Law 129, which isn't said that a wife should not have sex, even though when she's a widow. And then with that, I'm going to go into some comparisons real quick that both matters, they take opposite approaches, which as you can tell in the show you saw. And Tamar's was a little more sly compared to Ruth, which is a little more loyal. And then one of the final points I'd like to just talk about is that Tamar is really, I think we brought this up in the show, but it's really important to know that Tamar is actually doing this more for herself being and because she feels it. And Ruth is doing this because she has two people to provide for herself and Naomi. And she has so much respect for it. And that's really what it means to be a human, is showing respect to another person and helping them out. And that's what we categorize as being human. So I just want to thank you guys all again for watching my show and hope you have a great night. Thank you.